I think it's a profound question that, knowing what you guys know now is like the one piece of advice, like, dear Peter, dear Sophia, you're breaking into the industry, maybe you're graduating, maybe you're in high school. What's like something you would have told yourself? You pat yourself on the back, and you would have told a younger version of yourself.
I don't know, because everything is like hindsight, so you can say you can change things, but I think the biggest thing for me would have been literally trying to be something you're not all the time. So I literally try to stand up and be, someone that I wasn't, relative to just trying to get out of my comfort zone. I was never really comfortable with it. So having, like I said, like, I grew up with all Caucasian friends. So for me, it was always consistently trying to be white like them and try not to embrace my culture, or try not to talk about the fact that I didn't have what they had, right? So I did it consistently nonstop, right? Where it was like, I wouldn't say it was a matter of shame, but it might have been shame. It might have been, right? So it might have been the fact that you always were comparing consistently, and you realize pretty quickly that just gets really exhaustive. And quite honestly, in your later years in life, it probably is triggering in a way where probably you go back and you think to yourself, okay, why did I do that? Like it took me literally like 45, 46 years. And this goes back to the authentic voice, to realize, okay, none of that really mattered, right? And mind you, it got me to where I'm got to now, but it's almost like 45 years or 46 years of my life. I'm like, okay, that was just exhausting to try to be something you're not all the time, right? So, now I go back to the fact that I think I'm in a really comfortable spot in my life, and I do have a voice. And going back to the kind of this kind of roundtable talk I'm doing, is I'm so happy I found it, because I guarantee you, and I don't want to use our dad as kind of the example, but there's certain individuals that, like, you're going to die and then realize your biggest regret is that you didn't do something where you had your authentic voice out there and you spoke the truth and your truth, right? And that was one of the things that took me, like I said, 45 years to figure that out.
What do you think that was for your dad? Like, what do you think he would have done or gone after if he would have?
He was just very risk adverse, right? So this is the funny thing. When I talk about not being money driven, the one thing I do know that I've taken from him unequivocally is he's not money driven, neither am I. He's protection driven. I mean, like, he just wants to make sure his loved ones and his entire world is safe. And so his happiest moments, it's funny, like he's at a point right now where, and we get so frustrated by him, because he always talks about, he's like, I'm ready to go. And he's 85. He's like, I'm ready to die. He's like, I'm ready to go. I'm close.
Can I
I'm
tell
really
you how
close.
irritating that is?
And he's the guy that lives 110
Very
and like
morbid.
He's been saying it for 25
He
years.
will.
gosh, I'm still alive. But he literally is. But it's funny, because we kind of came to this realization. I actually don't think it's a matter of him really wanting to go, but he's now at a point in his life where everything is perfect. Literally, his kids are completely financially sound. Everyone's healthy. All the grandkids are doing well. They just sold their house, so they're sitting on some money that they can give. Like, and that's his big thing. He just wants to give, albeit it's not a ton of money, but he just wants to give money to us. He wants to give his inheritance to us. So for him, it's like he's at a point in his life where everything is just safe and secure and happy. So for him, it's like he's okay to go. And very similar to myself, it's like that's kind of how I feel about money. I don't have a relationship with money financially and monetarily. It's more the security of making sure people around me are taken care of, and there's and everyone's safe, and I'm just happy, and I don't have to worry about the financial stresses of what money provides, or chasing something, or just worrying about, like, how do you live on a day-by-day basis. So I think from his perspective, he achieved that. It took him a long time to achieve that level of like security and safety. But also the other side of it is like, and I relate it back to, that day when I saw him put on a suit and go to this conference, I feel like he really wishes he did more with his career and more with his life. And because he left Korea with a pretty, like, his dad came from money, right? We never met our grandfather, but he came from money. He came here to start a better life with the family from a westernized perspective. But I think it was a struggle for him, because he thought it would be very easy to pick up and live the same life he lived in Korea here. Didn't do that. So now 80 years, 85 years has passed, and now his level of happiness is settling for just that safety net.
I would bet that whatever you feel like he didn't maybe achieve, he achieved through you guys. I mean, look at you guys. You guys, I bet, make him so freaking proud. And you know what, he sacrificed for you, but you made up for it. That's the thing. And I think you've probably made him so proud, more proud than you know.
We tell them that, like, literally, look what you have, look what you've created.
But he is really proud of us, right?
No, for sure. But that's what I mean. Like, when we try to give him, like, literally his flowers and my mom's flowers, say, look what you've created. Like, look at the 7 grandkids that you created. Look at every one of them in university. Look at every one of them literally starting their own careers. It's crazy, right? So it's like that all came from literally Bergamot Avenue in Rexdale, where we lived in community housing. They didn't speak a lick of English, and I remember the racist, like really crazy racist, things that happened to our family, specifically to them, that it just transcended. So for them, it's like scars that they just carry forward, and now, admittedly, like, our kids will never see that. Not that they're never going to see it. Obviously, racism exists, whether microaggressions or whatever the case might be, but they're never going to feel it the way, like, my parents felt it and the way I felt it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, to your point, sacrifices with the passage of time. The one generation sacrifices the next, which ultimately paves the way for the third one that has no idea about what the struggles they went through.
Yeah, but your parents did that themselves. Like, they did it. They did it alone. Sophia, what would you tell your younger self?
I had time to think about it, just so you know. So thanks for being long-winded, Peter. I appreciate that. The two pieces of advice I would give is, I'm not afraid of change at all. I've moved, to your point, I've lived in many different countries. I'm okay with starting over. And so I do think change is inevitable. And so I think embracing that and not being so tied or married to what the present moment means, right? So it's the idea of ups and downs and the highs and lows and the beautiful and painful moments, and accepting that. So I do think that as humans we need to accept, because the moment you can kind of lean in and soften with that is the moment that you'll be able to kind of withstand, and then you come out stronger, right? So that's corny and so true. And then the second piece is being okay with being an outlier, right? So I do think there is this collective story around this table of us feeling, which I do think is more the human condition of not feeling accepted and good enough and showing up in the best way possible.
Thanks for watching this clip from Growth Untold the Podcast. If you enjoyed this clip right here, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. And if you want to listen to the whole episode, follow the Growth Untold page wherever you listen to podcasts.